AP calculator question. So the first thing I would do is I would read through it and underline things that I need to know. So it says the number of gallons of pollutant in the lake. So gallons tells me that this is like the first original function. It's not a rate. So that's like what I'm looking for. I'm saying, okay, gallons, not a rate. And then it says that the rate or the derivative of gallons per day is given by this, where T is measured in days. There are 50 gallons of pollutant in the lake at T equals 0. That is your initial condition. So initial condition is an IVP problem. So like this is going to be where it's like P of 0 plus the integral of 0 to whatever in that part of the question, which is, it's probably not till like down here. Okay? And then it says the lake is considered safe when it contains 40 gallons or less. So we need 10 gallons of pollutant to leave. So I'm going to my calculator. I'm clearing out my y1 and y2. And I'm typing in the derivative. You're given it. It's right here.
How many gallons of pollutant do you think Chartiers Creek has?
Lots of heroin needles. I don't know about how much pollutant.
Okay? Ugh.
Not surprised. Did you pick it up, Des? That's something you do.
Des picked it up.
She picked it up
Accidentally
and threw it
stabbed
away.
herself with it.
So it says, is the amount of pollutant increasing at T equals 9? So at T equals 9, we want to know what is the derivative at 9.
Negative.
Because the derivative would give me the amount of pollutant rate. If the rate is positive,
That's what I did. I got negative.
then it's
0.6464.
increasing.
Yeah.
Okay, so at 9, the rate is negative 6464. That means that this is less than 0. So since the amount of pollutant is not increasing, sorry, I read my increasing really quick and didn't pay attention to my not.
So not increasing.
Yes, sorry. I literally like looked down and saw this when he asked me real quick, but didn't pay attention to that.
And he was like, "I saw I was the only one to get it right."
Okay, for what value of T is the number of gallons of pollutant at its minimum?
You can't host this.
Yes, you can. I don't care.
Gallons of pollutant be at its minimum. So where do you have a minimum? It's at the zeros of the derivative. So you would go to your graphing calculator again. You would look at your table. Well, you'd be at +4 right now. So you would go, yeah. So I would hit, sorry, my window is set funny. So I would, this is my derivative. I need the zeros of my derivative. So I'm going to go to my window. I'm going to change my values to probably like 20 to 2. And again, well, I honestly like just didn't even pay attention.
Yeah, but mine's like.
Well, I have to go beyond 20 because it needs to be at 30. So it's at 40. But so like that's where I would start. I would just kind of pick a random number because like I wasn't even looking at my answers. And I just keep going out from there so that my graph, and do you see how I made my like y min and y max -1 to 1? So if I make the graph smaller, then it doesn't have to stretch as much because I only care about the 0. Like I'm only looking for, okay, once this graph graphs, if I need a minimum occurs where a graph goes from decreasing to increasing. So in terms of the derivative, I'm looking for when the graph goes from negative to positive. So this graph has a minimum at this point here because it goes negative to positive.
The 1 minus 3e to the negative 0.2 times square root t equals 0.
So that's what you're, like on my paper, I would say the minimum would occur when p prime of t equals 0. P prime of t equals 0 at t equals 30.173. And then you have to also go on to say it is a minimum because P prime of T changes.
Negative to positive, there's a minimum of P of T.
Yep.
P prime of T equals that.
Exactly. So like I said, the number of gallons of pollutant is at a minimum at T equals 30.173 days because P prime of T changes from negative to positive.
Pollutations?
Pollutant.
That's a really interesting way of spelling pollutant.
Look, I kind of think I stopped spelling it and started to write is and realized I sucked at spelling.
It's almost as bad as rolls.
Like, you were just thinking about the theorem because it's tie day.
Exactly.
What does the Rolls theorem say, Corey?
That, hold on, I got this one. That,
It's just
There's 2
it's
points in the
MBT
closed
when
interval,
the first interval and the
and they
starting
both
and end
equal
point.
to
Part C, is the lake safe when the number of gallons of pollutant is at its minimum? Is the lake safe?
Yeah, sure, why not?
The lake is safe when it's 40 gallons or less. So at T equals 30.173, the pollutant is equal to the initial,
Oh, I didn't do the initial. Dang it, I didn't do that plus, so I got
It's-
negative 14.
initial plus the amount removed. Because this would be the amount of pollutant being
It
removed.
would be because it's under 40 gallons.
Exactly. Since 35.1074 is less than 40, the lake is safe when the number of pollutants is at a minimum.
Would I get any points still for saying
You'd
it's
get it
less
for the
than
extra-
40?
You would get this integrand point.
Okay.
So this is probably 3 points. You would probably get 2.
Oh, okay.
It's a calculator. Like-
there wasn't any bounds.
So again, on my cal,
Second-
here's how I'm doing it.
I just
It's
did
just
second calc
50,
7.
yeah,
8.
plus
Math 9.
math 9. Wait, I learned something really cool tutoring this week. 0, 30.173. Did you know? Remember how I always teach you to go vi, var, vars, blah, 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 blah? You can hit alpha, calc,
Yeah, you should.
Y1's right there. Ah, I need to show my algebra 2s then. That makes me so happy.
Alpha Cal.
And it gives you the vi, vars stuff. Isn't that so cool? Alpha, calc. And look, they're all right there. Instead of having to do vars, y vars function,
Yeah,
y1.
it's like,
This took forever to calculate for me. It was
That's why
really
you're allowed
forever.
2 calculators on the AP exam, because you are literally supposed to set this aside and keep going.
Mhm.
Serious.
What I would
No,
have,
it's
I would
just-
have just gone to the graph and hit second.
It
calc.
wouldn't give you the 50. You would have to
Yeah,
add that
I
50
would
back.
I would have added the
Yeah.
50.
So you could have gone second
And
trace,
your face, Corey, it is 7.
number 7, and then it'd be 0 to 30.173. Still gonna take
That's gonna
forever.
take
Yeah.
forever.
All right, so then part D, an investigator uses the tangent line to approximate P of T. So that means P prime is the slope of the tangent. P of T is the original as a model for the amount of pollutant in the lake. At what time T does the model predict the lake becomes safe? So now you have to write the equation of the tangent line using 0, 50, because that's the points you know. Your slope would be P prime of
0.
perfect.
Oh, okay.
So here's Alex's little this. So now if this is P prime, right? I'd go to my table and get 0, which is negative 2. So
What?
P prime of
I
0,
thought-
P prime of 0 is negative 2. So that's y minus 50 equals P prime of 0, T minus 0. So then you get P of T equals negative 2T plus 50. And then we know that the pollutant needs to be what?
40.
So then you'd make it less than or equal to 40, solve for T, and any time after 5 days. It is
All I'm
safe.
gonna say is I'm not swimming in this lake.
I am. I've swum in much worse.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had this conversation.
Lakes are all disgusting.